Hey everybody, this is Chris Creary here from business.chriscreary.com, and I'm grateful that you took time out of your day to watch this video. And I'm here to talk to you about how we think about our money, think about our business and the economy, and think about our thinking, because if we can think properly, we can make better decisions, and if we can make better decisions, we can come out prosperous in the end. So in this video, I'm going to show you something that I kind of stumbled upon, but it's a business idea if you are into cars and flipping cars or selling car parts. You can use this strategy to make a lot of money in this time of lockdown, where some people are losing their jobs and some people are not making as much money as they used to make. This is a strategy that you can use, and I'm going to go over 3 steps that you can use, and you can start making some money using this same process that I did. Now, back in the summer, I bought a car. Now, the original intent of this car was for me to buy it, to use it, fix it up, and use it as a project car, fix it up and drive it in the summertime. But when I bought it, after I took it to the body shop to get some work done on it, I found out that it would cost a lot more money than I was willing to spend to fix it up than I was willing to. So I wasn't willing to spend that much money that the body guy told me that it would cost to fix. So I decided to, instead of spending that money, to cut my losses and part out the car and sell the parts individually to try and make back the money that I spent on the car. Now, this is a picture of the car that I bought. It's a 2002 Honda Civic SIR. It's a hatchback. It wasn't really sold that well in the area where I'm from, but there was a few people that did have it, and I thought it'd be kind of cool to have a car like this and to fix it up and use it as a little project car. These are the type of cars that I'm interested in. Now, I bought the car off of someone from Kijiji, which in Canada it's called Kijiji, and in the States it's the same thing as Craigslist. But you could do this anywhere. Originally, the guy that was selling it wanted $1,500 for it, but I was able to negotiate him down to $950. When I went to see the car, I knew that it wasn't going to be a perfect car. I knew that there would be some things that I would have to repair and restore on it, but I didn't know the extent of the repairs that I would have had to make to the car. But I was able to negotiate him down to a lower price of $950. And as I mentioned, it wasn't until I took it to the body shop to get him to do an inspection on it that I realized that there was more rust in places that I couldn't see when I went to buy the car, and it would cost so much more money to fix if I wanted to go down that route, but I didn't. And that's where I stumbled across this business idea for someone. Now, I was able to take parts off of this car and sell it, not only make back the money that I spent on the car, the $950, I was actually able to make so much more money off of this car than what I actually bought it for, and then what I actually thought I would have actually made out of the car. I was really just trying to break even, but I actually was able to make so much more money. So I'm gonna just break it down for you, because this can be a potential business for someone, and it's really broken down into 3 steps. Now, the first step is finding the car. So what you will need to do is look on places where people are selling cars privately. As I said in the intro, I bought my car off of Kijiji. In the States, it's the same thing as Craigslist, or you can look on Facebook Marketplace, or wherever people are posting cars privately themselves, where you were dealing directly with the person who owns the car. Not a dealership, but like an individual person. And also set your price range. What's the most amount of money that you want to spend on this car? Try to have an idea on the type of car that you want to buy. I had a short list of 3 cars that I was looking for, and this was one of them. So I kind of disregarded all of the other cars that were out there that people were selling. I had my mind focused on what I wanted. So I looked on Kijiji, I found the car that I was looking for in the price range that I was willing to pay for it. Now, when I went to go see the car, I actually was able to negotiate the price down from $1,500 that the guy was asking for, down to $950. I actually tried to get it less, but he didn't go for that. So I settled on $950. He was okay with that. It was still within my budget. And I realized that by spending $950 and looking over the car, worst case scenario, which is what I actually had to do, is if I had to part out the car, I can at least make back my $950 by taking off various parts on the car and selling it individually. So this will make or break this business. Your ability to negotiate a lower price when you buy the car is what determines how fast you will break even and how much profit you will actually make off of the car. So your negotiating skills in order to get a lower price when you're doing this is extremely important. But this is step number one. Find the car. You have an idea of how much you want to spend, have an idea of the type of car you are looking for, and also try to negotiate a lower price when you go and see that car. And basically, when you go to see the car, look for things wrong on the car that you can use as leverage to try and decrease the price that you would actually pay for the car. But all of that is step number one. Okay, so now you've got the car, you bought the car for whatever low price that you paid for it. Like in my scenario, I paid $950. Step number two is to find a place to store the car and start removing the parts. So I have a garage at my house and I wasn't using it for my daily driven cars. They were parked in the driveway. So I was able to park this car in the garage of my house. And that's where I took off all the parts, and that's where I did all the work on the car in my garage. It's key that you have to have a place where you can park the car while you're taking off the parts of it in order to sell them, because it's hard to do it outside because you have the elements, the rain, wind, snow, etc., and you want to be in some sort of enclosed environment where you are protected from the elements, the environmental elements out there. Now the next thing that I want to tell you is actually how many parts you can actually take off a car to make up your money. This actually blew my mind as I started to do it. So as I said, I bought my car for $950. Now, if you look at how much parts are on a car, if you just look at the doors itself, okay? And in the door itself, there are so many parts. There was the external shell of the door, which you could sell for maybe $100. There was the trim on the inside, which you can sell for maybe $50 to $100. There was a motor that causes the window to go up and down, which you could sell for another $100 or $150. There was the buttons that you use to lock the doors and to roll the windows up and down. You can sell those for $50 a piece. And there is a latch that you use to pull to open the door. You could sell that for $25 or $50. There are so many parts inside a door itself. Just those parts alone, I think I can sell one door, the parts inside of a door, for $500. And if I sell two doors, at least, I can make $1,000, and I would have even broken even on the price that I paid for the car. Not to mention the additional parts. You also have the front bumper, the rear bumper, the front lights, the rear lights, engine components, the crash bar, the radiator, hoses, the radio, the seats, the seat belts, the airbags, the computer, the glass, the hatch, the roof. There are so many parts on the car that you can actually take off and sell it individually, that if by doing this business model, you can make so much money. So this is actually going back to step number one. When you buy the car, make sure you do a good look and check to see if there are any other good parts on their car. Take a look to make sure that the whole car is not junk, that there are still some parts that can be salvaged on the car, that are still good parts, because if you can't fix the car up, you can take those parts off and sell them. Now the tools that you need to do this, you don't need much tools. You just need a basic socket set with different size sockets and a ratchet. I have a kit that looks like this that I use to take off just about everything off the car. You could buy a kit like this from the local hardware store for maybe like $50 to $100 if you want more tools, but this is enough for you to take off everything off the car. Now we move on to step number three. Now, though you are not planning to drive the car regularly, and though the car may not be roadworthy or a junk car, you have to look to see which parts on the car are worth being sold to other people. You don't want to sell people parts that you know are bad, because that's dishonest, but there are so much parts on a car that you can take off that are in still good working condition that you can sell that other people need. For example, in this car, this is a Honda. A lot of Hondas are famous for rusting issues on the doors, the fenders, on other body parts. But if you can find the car where there is minimal or no rust on the external body panels, you could sell those parts and people will be falling all over you to get them, because that's a common issue that a lot of Hondas have. So when you go to buy your car, look for a car that has little to no rust on it at all, so that you can make use of as much parts as you can on the car. Now when it comes to selling these car parts, I use Kijiji and Facebook Marketplace, but the best place that I would suggest you go is on Facebook. Now, Facebook is designed to group people together, to get family and friends to be able to group and interact with each other. People of the same interests and people who like the same things, they tend to get together in groups on Facebook. And Facebook has groups that are dedicated only to one thing that people create. So what I did was I found a Facebook group that was dedicated to people who own this type of car, this 2002 Honda Civic hatchback. And what I did was, knowing that that's where they are, I decided to market the parts that I had in that group. I would post something, take good pictures of it, and post it in the group saying, I have this part available for this price, and if you want it, you can message me and we can meet up and we can exchange. You pay me and I'll give you the part. Now, the important thing when you're posting your parts online is you want to set your parts that you're selling them for a little bit higher. And the reason why you do that is when you post things online, people tend to try and lowball you. So if you're selling a part for $50, people might message you and say, hey, I'll give you $10 for it, which is not reasonable. But you price it a little bit higher so you can negotiate down with them. If someone is serious, they'll work with you. And the reason why you price it a little bit higher than you're willing to, than your actual price that you want to settle for it, is because you can come down and show some communication and back and forth with the person that you're trying to sell it to, and then you can meet in the middle. As long as it's still at or above the price that you want for it, you're good. But this just keeps the conversation going, the communication going between you and the person who's trying to buy it, and it shows you that they're interested in presenting a reasonable price for what you are offering for them. And that's the entire gist of this entire business model. If you do this enough times, you can make $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, depending on how much cars you have and how much time you have. I showed you a picture of what the car looked like when I bought it. This is a picture of what the car looked like when I was finished with it. I took off the rear hatch, the glass. I took off the dashboard, the doors, the seats, the hood, the bumpers, the lights, the fenders, the engine was gone, the radiator. I took off all the parts that were easy to come off on that car, and I was able to sell them and make back not only the money that I spent on the car, but I made back some profit as well that I used to buy another car. So tell me, have you ever tried a business model like this, or are you interested in trying something like this to try to make some extra money? Put some notes down in the comments and let me know if you've ever tried something like this. Now, remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel so that you can get the next video that I upload when I upload it. I don't know when I'm going to do the next video, so it's a good idea to subscribe so that when I do, you can get it. And remember to go out and make something great happen. You have all this creative ability and you have all this God-given ideas and things inside you that need to come out and be a blessing to you and be a blessing to people around you. So go out there and make something great happen today. This is Chris from business.chrisquery.com, and I'll see you next time. Peace.